Lots of comings and goings here at the Star in Frisco. The first week of NFL free agency. 4 first-round draft picks added to this Dallas defense. And Cavante gives his spin on his new contract on the Blitz, starting now.
Pops out to the right, breaks a tackle. They blitz it. Prescott throws it down the right side for Lamb. Caught it! Back to throw, rush, sacked by Parsons.
Belt-tie snap. Prescott with plenty of time. Lobs it end zone. Jake Ferguson.
The madness has begun, and this is the Blitz from the Star in Frisco. Bill Jones along with Kyle Youmans. Yeah, you got your brackets, Selection Sunday, all that stuff, March Madness, but the true madness started this past week around the National Football League. And Kyle, it is a wonderful time of the year.
No doubt about it. I'm checking my laptop as we speak to see if something else has broken since we started the show approximately a minute and a half ago, because that's how quickly things move around this time of year. The ins and the outs and trying to build a 2025 NFL roster. It is a crazy time of year. Odds are it's going to change by the end of the show as we continue on.
That's exactly right. But really, it all started a couple of weeks ago. That's when teams negotiated with their own players. You want to keep your own guys in free agency. Of course, the Cowboys did that with Osa Odighizuwa. Let's take a look right off the top to the returning players who had the opportunity to leave in free agency who are remaining here in Frisco.
Yeah, these are the guys that are going to stick around and try and keep some of the good things that have happened over the last 4 or 5 seasons and continue that into the Brian Schottenheimer era. Of course, you've got Osa Odighizuwa up at the top of that list, but a couple guys to keep in mind as well. I really liked retaining guys like Marquise Bell, who showed he could play a little safety, play a little linebacker. We'll talk more about the special teams re-signees in a couple of moments, but overall, you're making sure that the core guys in your depth are moving forward. You got a potential starter in Brock Hoffman on that list. They retain these guys because it's a priority to keep some of the guys around from one coaching staff to the next. These are the ones that decided to do just that.
And, of course, the unrestricted free agency period really began on Monday at 11 a.m. That's when other teams could start negotiating with the Cowboys players and other players around the league. But the league kicked off at 3 o'clock. The new league year kicked off at 3 o'clock on Wednesday, and the Cowboys got right to work with a couple of trades they had up their sleeve.
Yeah, this was an interesting thought process because Stephen Jones talked about the possibility of trades. Well, we saw 2 of them on the first day of the new league year. One with the Buffalo Bills, where the Cowboys receive cornerback and former first-round pick Kaiir Elam. They do flip a 6th and a 7th, and they send a 5th-round pick to Buffalo to grab Elam, who was the 26th overall pick. And then they go get Kenneth Murray Jr., once a linebacker they highly coveted out of the NFL draft at Oklahoma, somebody to keep in mind as a guy that could possibly start at the second level of your defense. And they only pick swapped a 6th and a 7th to get Kenneth Murray, who was a captain in Tennessee last year, was a big piece of that Tennessee Titans defense, and somebody that was also a former first-round pick. So we're starting to see kind of a trend here. Guys that the Cowboys valued in the NFL draft that didn't necessarily turn out in a brilliant way with their first or second team along the way in the NFL, hoping for a new start underneath either a familiar coaching staff or one that they feel like they can get the most out of these players.
Well, it's very interesting the way the Cowboys are approaching things in free agency and with trades this offseason. We're just getting started on this edition of The Blitz. How about the return of Cavante Turpin? He wasn't going anywhere, and he's got a new 3-year contract. We hear from him later on The Blitz. And a local coming home, a Coppell Cowboy becomes a Dallas Cowboy, Solomon Thomas.
The Dallas Cowboys Blitz, presented by Blockchain.com, is brought to you by AT&T, an official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com. This segment is brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys.
Solomon, You grew up not too far from here. You're a Coppell Cowboy graduate. Now you're a Dallas Cowboy. How does this feel?
Oh, it's amazing. It's truly a dream come true, you know, playing in Coppell, being raised in Dallas area, now getting to play in my hometown in front of people I love, my family, friends, close ones. So, you know, I feel at home. It's a dream come true, and I can't wait to put on that star and win games here and to bring championship here.
Yes, a former Coppell Cowboy, Solomon Thomas, is now a Dallas Cowboy. Nicole Hutchison joining me here. Bill Jones, and as the Blitz continues, we're going to take a look at some of the new faces, not just Solomon Thomas, but others that are now members of the Dallas Cowboys. It's been a busy week around here, Nicole.
It's been a busy week, but that's what makes it so much fun. This offseason, the Cowboys have added anywhere from an offensive lineman, a powerful offensive lineman, to a dynamic running back, and even added a playmaker on the defensive line. We love to see that. And all these new faces are looking to make an impact and could be what helps take this Cowboys team to a new level in 2025. Starting on the offensive side of the ball, the Cowboys added a new running back to the room in Javonte Williams to a one-year, $3 million deal. He spent the last 4 seasons with the Denver Broncos, recently finishing the 2024 year rushing for 513 yards, averaging 3.7 yards per carry. Some may credit that down year to not utilizing him in the right way within the Broncos offense, and some may argue he hasn't been the same since he tore his ACL in 2022. But it's obvious he fits with what Brian Schottenheimer wants, a physical runner that can break arm tackles. Williams led the NFL his rookie season with 31. In 4 years, he rushed for well over 1,700 yards after contact, forcing 134 missed tackles. A plus, he's an asset in the receiving game, has an eye for picking up blitzes, and has big play potential. The Cowboys also added some juice in the interior of the offensive line with former Miami Dolphins guard Robert Jones. He's on a one-year deal up to $4.75 million. In 2024, Jones had the biggest workload of his career. Starting all 17 games at left guard, he allowed 5 sacks and 28 pressures in over 1,000 snaps. His 54.3 PFF pass blocking grade, well, not the best, but he's known for his size, standing at 6'4", 334, his strength and also ability to dominate in the run game. A plus for Jones, he has experience at left guard and right guard, so could be a potential depth piece behind Tyler Smith or Brock Hoffman at right guard. Or could Jones make training camp interesting and potentially win the starting right guard spot over Hoffman and Bass? Onto the defensive side, Cowboys added to the defensive line with former Jets defensive tackle Solomon Thomas. He's on a 2-year deal for $8 million. Solomon brings versatility, can rush from the interior and off the edge, can take on double teams if necessary, decent in the run game, but his best quality is his relentless motor. His 2024 numbers, in 16 games he played, he finished with 26 tackles, 5 tackles for loss, 3.5 sacks, a fumble recovery, and a forced fumble. Could be a crucial depth piece considering the injuries that hit the defensive line in 2024, but also as a guy that played under new defensive line coach Aaron Whitecotton. He could be a valuable key to the boys in the trenches, taking the next steps in 2025. Now you look on social media and you're getting a mix of emotions from Cowboys fans. Some of them like those additions, some don't, but only time will tell. Training camp will be a lot of fun for all these guys.
And by the way, you got an opportunity to talk with Kenneth Murray already. You like him, right?
Yeah, he's a dog. I'm excited. He said he's looking forward to wreaking havoc to the ball. That was simple statement from him, so I'm excited for him to be added to this physical defense.
All right, Nicole Hutchison, we appreciate it. The Blitz continues in just a moment. How do the Cowboys fill some of these vacancies? Some big guys leaving, including Jordan Lewis, when we return in just a moment.
This segment was brought to you by AT&T, official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. This segment is brought to you by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
How many of you know this book? Oh, if you give a mouse a cookie, you do.
It is so exciting to be a part of National Reading Day here and to team up with United Way to come into these classrooms and to see these young kids their eyes, just full of stars and hope. And if we can sit there and inspire them to understand the importance of reading and to know that their journey is just beginning, that once they actually understand that reading is their ticket to their journey, then they're on their way.
Reading Day in Dallas brought Charlotte Jones to Paul L. Dunbar Learning Center. She is the Chief Branding Officer and co-owner of the Cowboys and continues a long-lasting relationship of the team with the United Way.
If you give a mouse a cookie,
We've been involved in United Way for over 30 years, and to have a chance to come into the classrooms, we've been doing this for quite some time, but this is special. It's the 100th anniversary of the United Way here, and for us to have a chance to get our players involved and really come and see the impact that you can make by just paying attention to people and kids that care.
Well, good morning, y'all. Have any of y'all heard of a book called The Cool Bean?
Not to be outdone, Cowboys offensive lineman Tyler Smith joined in as well, recalling the days when his mom, a teacher, put a major emphasis on reading.
Education has always been a passion of my mom's. She's been teaching for almost 30 years now. I mean, I think everyone has the right to a quality education, and I really do want them to see that even somebody like me, a great big football player, does see the importance in, being able to read.
It was really exciting because it was my favorite team.
For the Dallas Cowboys, I'm George Reba.
1, 2, 3.
Yes, the legendary George Reba with that report, and Tyler Smith, proud graduate of North Crowley High School right here in the DFW area. As the Blitz continues now, Bill Jones with Kyle Youmans, it's time to dive into how in the world are the Cowboys going to replace some of these guys that are leaving in free agency or leaving to retirement in the case of Zach Martin. And how about we start at the slot corner position? Jordan Lewis, one of the truly good guys in that locker room and good players on that field. He's going to be sorely missed on this team.
Yeah, he was one of the more underrated Cowboys on the defensive side over these last couple of years especially, and he's going to be tough to replace. That's the biggest loss right now in free agency for the Cowboys. And the thing that Jordan Lewis brings that, of course, you're not going to be able to find on the free agent market is that stability, the durability. Yes, he had some injury questions in the middle of his career, but over the last 2 seasons, he's been about as reliable as anybody in the slot, covering tight ends, covering those quicker receivers, those smaller, shiftier guys. I don't think the free agent market necessarily has what you need for the nickel cornerback spot. Now, you could possibly entertain moving Deron Bland inside. I would rather keep him on the boundary and address nickel in the draft. There are a couple guys either on day 2, maybe early day 3. One guy that I actually compared to Deron Bland in our Dallas Cowboys Star Magazine draft guide that's going to be coming out very soon is Maxwell Hairston out of Kentucky. He was impressive at the Senior Bowl. Short, stocky guy, but man, he is quick and he stays in the hip pocket of even some of the quicker receivers. Great change of direction, good hands, good ball skills. That type of addition to your defense can go a long way for Matt Eberflus.
Okay, so we're basically, you're saying go to the draft to find a slot corner. How about at offensive guard? Of course, the legendary Zach Martin is retiring, the future Hall of Famer. What do the Cowboys do there, you think?
I think with Zach Martin specifically, that's the biggest loss, period, because he's a future Hall of Famer. Now, I don't think the Cowboys have to look very far. I think they actually have that in-house. You've got guys like Brock Hoffman, T.J. Bass, who have shown already that they could show starting caliber reps over the course of a season. Plus, you have the ability to maybe move Cooper Beebe. He was a guard in college at Kansas State, was very good on the interior, not as a center. So maybe you bounce him to the guard spot, put Brock Hoffman at center, and then all of a sudden you have your best starting 5 with a backup in T.J. Bass. Lots of options on the offensive line.
And then Chauncey Golston signs with the rival New York Giants, a 3-year, $19.5 million deal. What do the Cowboys do to replace Chauncey?
I think they may have already tried to do that. Solomon Thomas on the interior. You've got Peyton Turner off the edge, a couple guys that will not have starting caliber reps, but have some upside and possibly rotational reps as well. I really like what they've already done in the value side of free agency, building the depth. And when you see Chauncey Golston take that opportunity with the Giants, now you've seen a couple guys that could come in and mix and match in those roles as well.
All right, I love it. It gives you an idea what the Cowboys might be looking at in replacing some of those key losses in free agency. And up next here on the Blitz, yes, they're keeping their return man. The All-Pro Kevontae Turpin joins the show in just a moment.
This segment was brought to you by Reliant, the official energy provider of the Dallas Cowboys.
Patrick No C Walker here of DallasCowboys.com, and I am standing next to the newest re-signee. It is first-team All-Pro returner Kevontae Turpin. 3 years, no second-round tenders, and no tenders at all. Cowboys wanted him in the building, and he's here for the long haul. Kevontae, talk about the emotions you got when this deal got done.
Man, just blessing come true, man. Like I said, man, just being in all the leagues that I've been through the 5 years, man, it's just been a blessing come true, man. I just want to thank God for the blessing.
One thing we've seen here with Kevontae and this Cowboys offense is over the past couple of seasons, you've become more and more impactful as a wide receiver. Brian Schottenheimer, new Cowboys head coach, former Cowboys offensive coordinator, has high praise and projection for what you can be for the offense. Just talk about what you bring in that capacity and what your future looks like for the Cowboys, not only as a returner, but as a threat all around.
Like I said, man, it just, when it comes to me, man, come to get on that field, man, I'm going to compete each and every day I go out there, man, like it's my last. That's just the type of player I am. And like I said, man, going into the offense, I don't even look at myself as a receiver no more, man. I look at myself as the offensive weapon.
He's an offensive weapon, and Kevontae says he'll even play tight end if they want him to play tight end. He'd be the smallest tight end, but he'd also be the fastest tight end. And oh, by the way, Kevontae, how big is that contract?
Well, it's the biggest in special teams NFL history. I mean, the fact that he goes 3 years, $18 million shows just how much of a priority it was to lock up Kevontae Turpin. And I spoke with Brian Schottenheimer last year during his time as the offensive coordinator here in Dallas. He felt like there was some unlocked offensive potential for Kevontae Turpin, but there's no debate. He's one of the biggest special teams weapons in all of football. The way that he can return kicks and punts and give you an element of your offense that you don't necessarily have from an explosion standpoint. Saw that against Houston, saw that against Washington. Kevontae Turpin was a priority, but really he wasn't alone in the special teams unit.
Yeah, special teams coordinator Nick Sorensen has to love what the Cowboys have done as far as keeping the free agents, because I'm thinking that there's a guy named John Fossil in Tennessee but probably would have liked to have had the punter, the long snapper, and oh, by the way, the special teams demon C.J. Goodwin, too.
No doubt, and that's what really is important about this. Brian Anger has been such a steady hand at the punting spot. He's been a weapon in his own right. Trent Sieg is kind of the one that completes that trio with Brian Anger, Brandon Aubrey, who's under contract for another year, and then you bring back your core special teamer and leader in that unit in C.J. Goodwin. I think when you look at special teams and see how quickly Dallas got it done, even with losing John Fossil, they showed to Nick Sorensen, we're going to keep these guys around. We've been one of the best special teams units in football recently. Now you've got a shot with the same guys in Dallas.
All right, we're at the heart of free agency right now, but the draft will be here before you know it, and the Cowboys have more ammunition when it comes to draft day if they don't trade them away before then when the Blitz continues in a moment.
Closed captioning is brought to you by the Texas Lottery. Dallas Cowboys scratch tickets from the Texas Lottery are here. Play today. To watch more Dallas Cowboys content on your connected TV, download the Cowboys Now app on Amazon Fire, Roku, and Apple TV. The Dallas Cowboys Blitz, presented by Blockchain.com, was brought to you by AT&T, an official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys, and by Blockchain.com. Invest like your icons with Blockchain.com.
This week in Cowboys history, it was 65 years ago that Dallas chose 36 players during an expansion draft to form their very first roster. Included on that list was linebacker Jerry Tubbs, who played 7 seasons for the Cowboys and later would return to become the Cowboys linebackers coach under Tom Landry for 22 seasons.
Cowboys won't have 36 picks in this year's draft, but they're getting close after the compensatory picks were announced this past week.
Yeah, they added 4 more picks to the total, 3 fifth-round picks and 1 sixth-round pick. But then they decided very quickly to shuffle those around for guys like Kyer Elam and Kenneth Murray, as we mentioned early in the show. But they still have 10 picks. Here's the updated list of Cowboys selections going into the first weekend of the new league year. And when you look at really the way that they've mixed and matched, they basically took one of their 4 fifth-round picks, shipped it off to get 2 guys, and they traded it with a 7th. You flip-flop those 2 and then get 2 guys that could possibly be starters on your defense.
Okay, well, you're talking, I'm filling out my bracket. I got Texas Tech going to the Final Four. What do you think?
McCaslin, I like it. Yeah. I'm always a fan of Texas Tech. Watch out for Auburn. I think they finally have the team and the depth to get it done.
All right, thanks for joining us here for the Blitz, and we'll see you again next week.